Yeah.
Good everyone, my name is Graphics. Today we want to draw these two figure in isometric. First of all, we'll be starting with this figure. Like I said earlier, we are given a figure like this to draw in isometric. First of all, draw your three axes, which is the x, y, and z axis at an angle of what? 30 degree, and this is what I mean. You pick up your t square, your set square, and you move it. Then you draw your y-axis, which is this way, right? And you incline this, and you draw your x-axis, which is this way. Then you incline it this way also, and you draw your z-axis, which is this way. Now, after you've done that, this is for the x here is for the elevation, right? Depends on how the diagram is. So I'll pick up my diagram now. I'll discover that this axis here, which I can say is my length, is given as 40, while the other axis, that is the x, is 40, then the z is 70. So let's do that. X from here, I'll measure, we say it is what? 40, right? From 0 to 4 is 40, then z is 70. So from 0 here down to this point here is given as what? 70. Is that taken? And if you look at the height closely, you discover that this is the height. You can easily say that from here to this point here is 60, but from here to here is 5. So 60 plus 5 is what? 65. Or we can say that from this point to this point is given as what? 30. And from this point to this point is given as what? 35. Right? Anything that is standing is what? Is y. That is why, because this is standing, right? I'll call it y. This is standing, I'll call it y, right? So that is 65. So I'll pick up my meter rule and I'll measure the height of what? Of 65. So from 0 to this here is what? 65, right? 6, then 5, 65. Now I have successfully drawn out that. The next thing I'm going to do is to project all those points upward. You can see that. I'll move it here also. I'll project all those points upward. Now, if I've done it that way, at this point here is like having this point here. So whatever I did here, I'll do it up here. So if you look at this, easiest way for you to draw that is to draw parallel line. How? The line I used to draw here, you can see, I'll move my set square until I get to this point, and I'll draw the line here, ensuring that it is meeting with this point here, this line here. You can see that. Now, similarly, if I turn it this way and I place it on my t square, the line I used to draw here, right? I'll move it until I get to this point, and I'll get this. You can see that. So the line I used to draw here, I'll move it to this point. I'm going to get this also. All right. What is remaining? It is remaining this point here. So what I'll simply do here is the line that I used to draw here, the angle which is 30, that I used to draw this line here, I'll move it until I get to this point, right? And I'm going to draw this. You can see that. So I can easily move this upward this way. Now Having done that, I have brought out the entire shape at which I want to carve out my shape from, right? So the next thing I'll do, let's see what we'll do. If you look at the top right corner, or look at the bigger representation of that, I discover that from here to here is thickened, which is from here to here. So I'm going to what? Thicken it. You can see that. And from here to here is also thickened, which is from here to here. So I'm going to what? Thicken it. Now I've done that. Now from here to here, which is given as 5, is thickened. So from this point, which is that same point there, I'll measure 5 upward. So using my meter rule, I'll measure 5 upward. So this is the 5 here, right? And I'm going to thicken it. I'm going to what? Thicken it. So in thicken it, what I have here. So if you look at diagram very well, from this point I measured 5, straight down to the other end point is given as is thickened, right? So this point I'm thickening is this point around here. So I'll take my set square or my meter rule. It's easier to use your set square, and you thicken your point from this point here. I'll thicken it. Can you see that? Knowing fully well that my set square is lying on my t square. So now I'll close here up. I haven't done that. If you look at this point very well, from here inward is given as what? 10. So this point here, which is 10, is from this point. I'll measure 10 inward. So I'll take my set square first and place on my t square and ensure that the angle is 30 degrees, which is this. Then I'll now measure my 10 before I thicken it. So from this point here, this is 10. So this is what we have here, and I'll just use my set square and what? And thicken it. Right? Now if you look at this, I'll just move here and do the same incline point here, faint line first. Right? And the reason I'm doing that is because what's applied here is also applying here, right? So from here to here is thickened. Then now this point to this point is this point to somewhere around here. So with the help of my t square, I don't have to remeasure. I'll just place on my t square and I'll join that point to the next point here. You can see that. And I'm going to thicken here, this way here. Now, I haven't done that. If you look at our diagram correctly, you discover that from this point here to this point is thickened, and it is from here somewhere around here. So I'll take my t square and I'll move it to that point there, right? And I am going to what? Thicken it to touch there. You can see that? That's what we have there. Now, from this point here, backward, we know it is 30. So I'll just draw a line from here to here, 30. So this point is this point. So I'll move my t square to that point Now I'm going to draw line of what? To that point there. You can see that? Now if you look at it again, from here to here is also 30. So I'll draw another thick line. This point to this point is this point to somewhere around here. So I'll measure 30 on that point. So in doing that, if I place my compass here, and I'll measure 30. And I'm going to thicken it. So if I thicken it, this is what I will be having this way. Right? Then I'm going to draw a line this way, just like it is shown on the top right corner of the screen. You can see that line. And I'll draw another one from this point to this point here. You can see the other line. So those four corners, I'm going to thicken them. So let me thicken this from here to here. Then from here to here are shown on the top right corner of the screen. You can see that? Now from this point here, which is this point here, I'll measure 35 downward, right? So let's do that. Measuring 35 downward from here, so I'll just show the line from this point downward this way. And I'm going to use my meter rule, and I'm going to measure 35. So this 35 here. You can see that it stops here. From here to this point here is 35. And I'm going to what? I'm going to thicken it. So if I thicken it this way, I'm going to be having this. Right? So I'll have this. Then I can rule it down too, as shown in the top right corner of the screen, where I can actually close this up. You can see that? Now what I'll do here is, at this point here, I'll just draw a vertical line here this way. Right? Faint line first. But if I check my diagram closely, I'll discover that from this point to this point is closed. So I'm thickening this point to this point, then to this point. So from here to here to here is from here to somewhere around here before I'm not taking it to this point. So my t-square and z-square will help me locate that. Once I place my t-square and it is resting on my what? My z-square this way, my t-square this way, I'll just take it from this point to this point. You can see that? Then I'm going to close here up this way. You can see that? Then I can easily bring, as shown in the top right corner of the screen, I can bring from here to somewhere around here, this way. My faint line first, or I'll thicken it like this. Can you see that? That's what we have. Then from this point you are seeing here, from this point and this point here is this point and this point. So in I'll measure 9, in I'll measure 9. So let's do that. I'll just take my set square and I'll draw a line like this, faint line. Then I'll measure 9 inward. So if I take my meter and place it this way, from 0 to there is 9. That is it before you get to 1. Then from 3 to 2 before you get to 2 is also 9. You just measure 9. I can easily measure the 9 from here to here, anyhow I want it, right? Then I'm going to stick in those 2 points like this. I'll take in those 2 points from here to stop here, and from here to stop here. looking at the top right corner of the screen, realize from here to here is thickened. So I'm going to what? I'm going to thicken that point. You see that? And I'll use my faint line and connect this point in this direction, like this. First of all, this to this direction, this to this direction. Faint line first. Then this also to this direction, and this also to this direction. My faint line first, because of the way you see in the top right corner of the screen. Now, what is the height of this? The height of this is what? 15, and the length of this is what? 20. So I'll measure 15 and I'll measure what? 20. So at this point here, I'm going to measure 15. This is 15 here. And at this point here, I'm going to measure 20. And 20 is falling around here. Right? I can easily thicken it from this point to this point here. Right? I can also thicken it from this point to this point here. So my T-square and Z-square will now do the rest. So I can take this point with my faint line to this point, right? Or just thicken it. I can also take in this point. Also take this point to this point. I'll close here up to, as shown in the top right corner of the screen. I'll place my compass here, and I'll close here up to. Right? Now if you look at this, then I'll do the needful. If you look at the top right corner of the screen, you discover that there's a line coming down here and another one going down here. So I'll just bring this line coming down here to this point. Right? And I'll bring this line here inward to this point to touch here to show that they are joining. Is that okay? So this is what the top right corner of the screen looks like, right? So I would advise whenever you draw your isometric projection in any exam or in any test, ensure that you do your dimensioning as shown in the figure, right? So if you found this video helpful, please don't forget to click on the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.